Do your thoughts and actions match up? On this installment of Chat with the Cheneys, we are digging into how you can give yourself the gift of both kindness and success by making sure that those two things are congruent. Now, my name is Cece Cheney.
And I'm Jason Cheney. And we're a husband and wife team. And we're dedicated to helping you reclaim your physical and financial health. So tell us about that, Cece. That's a really interesting topic. How can you give the gift of kindness, but also be successful?
Yeah. So when I talk about kindness in this circumstance, I'm talking about being kind to yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Because when you have things going on in your life, sometimes our little voice, our little inner critic pops out and is telling us all kinds of garbage, right?
Yes.
So when you have a goal, you want to make sure that those thoughts and those actions are in alignment. So for example, let's say you're working on a weight loss goal, right? What message is going through your brain on a regular basis? I'm fat. I'm tired. I'm exhausted.
I'm not good enough.
I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. You're dumb. You're stupid. Right? You're beating up on yourself. And if you really want to achieve your goals, you cannot be in that low frequency of beating yourself up all the time. You just can't. It's just not a good space to be in. And we are all guilty of this, right? Jason, you actually have a really fun story about a course we took where we had to control the stuff that was going on in here. What was that about?
So it was a 7-day course we did, and it was all about controlling any negative thoughts. So over the 7 days, and it doesn't have an end date, you have to go 7 days without any negative thoughts for longer than 30 seconds.
Or you have to start over, which is the important part. If you dwell on the negative thought, you start from day one all over again.
There was plenty of times I hit day 7 and started over.
Oh, so hard. So hard.
But it was interesting because the first time I did this, it took me 2 months.
Yeah.
I did not have any clue of how negative my mind was just in normal. I could be, at that time we were living in Panama, covered, surrounded by mountains, could walk out our house, look at a mountain, and I would have something negative to think about. Surrounded by all this beauty, which was crazy and it scared me. So the second time I did it, it took about 2 weeks. And then the third time I did it in 7 days. Now, it doesn't mean I don't have negative thoughts anymore.
Right.
I had to find ways to control them and also find ways to, once a negative thought happened, put positive thoughts in place.
Right. So it's a practice. It's just not really something that's one and done. Like, oh, okay, I finally made it through the 7 days, but I have to continue to practice actually keeping my mindset in a positive space and getting rid of some of that garbage.
Yes.
So I know you've had the opportunity to do that now, where you're very intentional about making sure that you have sort of positive messaging going through your brain. What is an example of a difficult thing that you had to overcome that you used some of this positive thought to help you get through?
Ooh, good one. So everybody knows, for the most part, my weight loss journey, going from 550 plus pounds to where I'm at now. However, what most people didn't know is I was living off a CPAP machine. If you're not familiar with a CPAP machine, it's artificial air to keep you breathing at night so you don't die. That's the base. There's no other way to put it. There's no pretty way to put it. It was to the point that I was waking up in the night before that, gasping for air, and I couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
And at that time, it was terrifying. Let me just be honest. I didn't know how much stuff I took for granted that my body does for me automatically.
So what kind of messages were you telling yourself when you were in that state?
Oh, good one. When I was in that state, I kept telling myself, oh, I might die tonight, or I'll never be able to breathe again. I'll never be normal. I have to sleep the rest of my life with machine and tubes. And in the beginning, Cece used to mess with me because all you would hear is and I needed so much air to go in to keep me alive at night that it was so loud it used to keep her up at night.
Yeah. Well, here's the interesting piece of that, right? Because Jason's mindset was really negative in this space. Yes. The CPAP was a really good thing that happened to him, right? Because before then, you were struggling to breathe.
Yes.
And you weren't sleeping at all, right? So Jason spent years just not sleeping after coming home from the military. But he had this tool that was helping him and he was beating himself up and he
Yes.
wasn't grateful for it. And then you made a decision that you were going to change things,
Yeah.
right? So what sort of messaging did you start telling yourself as you was going through the process of trying to get off of the CPAP?
Yeah. So 3 years ago is when I started the process of getting off the CPAP. And what I used to tell myself, what I started to tell myself, instead of saying I can't breathe, I am grateful for the amount of air I can breathe. I am grateful for whatever my body is able to do right now. And then I start telling myself, I can do more to help my body. And so that was one of the things that really happened. And then I think it was after 6 months, I had came to you and I was like, hey, I don't think I need this anymore. I feel like it's giving me too much air.
Yeah.
And it was scary getting off of it. Even though my body gave me what I wanted and what I desired, it was scary.
Yeah.
So I started telling myself negative stuff. Then I can't get off. I can't do this. Oh, what if I go out for a day and then the next day I stop breathing again?
Yeah.
And so it was a whole new set of negative words I had to combat.
Yeah. And
Becoming
fear.
healthy. Yeah.
Yeah. There were all these new thoughts that now, okay, that's why we say it's a practice, right? There's all these new thoughts that you have to overcome. So you've talked a little bit about some of the thoughts that you had to shift, which I think is really powerful. What about the actions? What were some actions that you were using in combination with those thoughts that allowed you to get off of your CPAP?
So now the actions I was taking, I told myself, today is going to be the best day of my life. Every time I would go somewhere, before I would even put something in my mouth, I would ask myself out loud, I would say this is the exact words, Jason, are you making the best decision possible in this moment for your body?
Yeah.
And the answer was no, and you have to be honest with yourself when you ask. If you're going to lie to yourself, don't waste your time.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna reach what you don't want.
Yeah.
That's just the truth. And so I had to tell myself no. And every time I would do that, I would take the action. People used to be like, man, how are you so disciplined? That's why it was the actions behind the thoughts together that made me get the results I want.
Yeah, yeah. So some of the other actions, I'm going to jump in for him, right? So he was doing the mindset work, which is really important, which is an action in and of itself. He was also changing his diet, right? He was going to a chiropractor regularly. He changed his activity. He started increasing his activity. He started to do the activities that allowed him to lose weight. And all of those things, he did better sleep hygiene. All of those actions, along with those thoughts, allowed him to improve his health, right? So one fun action that we're doing right now, Jason, share this with them.
So let's see if I can put it on without messing up the hat.
Okay.
So this is what it looked like. And I know you're saying, what is this headband thing? So if you can see, it actually has a Bluetooth, and you can hit the volume higher and lower. And so what we do every night now when we're going to sleep, we listen to affirmations of our voice. So I listen to myself, Cece listens to herself. And so one of my affirmations is, you are healthy. I deserve to be healthy. Well, two of them, sorry. And what about you, Cece?
Well, I have several of them, right? But in my business, for example, I do one that says, I am an excellent marketer. Right? In my health, I love my body, right? And these are messages that we get to listen to. It's an action and a thought experience where we get to play our affirmations to really help us cut the garbage out and be intentional about the messages that we're telling ourselves.
Yes.
Right?
And here's the other thing. Have you ever woke up from a good night of sleep saying positive things into yourself? Think about that.
Yeah, what's the first thing we do? We usually grab our phone, we're, checking to see what's on the news, and we start to put the negative thoughts in already. So this is a really great tool to allow you to go to sleep with a positive thought and wake up with positive thoughts as well.
Awesome.
Cool. So if you are somebody who is really trying to change your thought patterns and change the way that you think, then shoot us a message, because we are actually in the middle of a course that is helping us to transform our mindset. And if you want to do that for yourself, it's completely free of charge. We'll be more than happy to share the link with you so that you can take advantage of that. And otherwise, give yourself the gift of kindness this holiday season, and we will chat with you next week.
Ciao.
Ciao.